and welcome to Amethyst Style Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And we're in our series of gift ideas for Christmas and the holiday season, stocking fillers, craft fair ideas, just little bits of fun. And today I thought we would do a really pretty little gift bag. Very simple, very easy design. But the thing that I really like about this one is the handles. Now, you can make it with ribbon handles, but I really like the handles on this. They are made of cardstock. They are really sturdy. They make the box actually look like a carrier bag, and I think that that works beautifully. You can fill the bag with whatever you want. I've just filled it with a couple of little note cards or tags that you can make quite easily, and I've done 4 of these at the moment. You can make as many as you want. I'm not going to show you that part now. I'm just going to show you the box because, as I say, I really love the sturdy handles, and it's got a reinforced bottom as well. So let's go ahead and make it. You need 2 pieces or 2 sheets of 6x6 designer series paper. And I'm using the absolutely lovely, to take my pieces like this, I'm using the absolutely lovely tartan papers, wrapped in Plaid, wrapped in Plaid. They are just lovely and they work perfectly for the bags. I just love this paper. I've got very little of it left now because I've used so much of it. But you need 2 sheets and you are going to score them exactly the same way. So let's get our scoreboard out. And both sheets, as I say, you're going to score exactly the same way. So if you have a pattern on the other side, which this one has lovely stripes, I wanted the stripes to go vertically. So just remember that if you've got a pattern at the top, whichever way you want, you turn it that way. So we are going to score it at 1 3/4 inches. One, to make sure I'm in. Am I in? Slide it out just a little bit so you can see. Right, we are going to score it at 1 3/4 inches. Now, on designer series paper, I use the wider ball because it doesn't give quite as the chances of the paper tearing are less. So 1 1/4 on 3 sides. So 1 and 1 1/2 inches, 1 1/2 inches on 3 sides. So 1 1/2, 1 1/2. So 3 sides, 1 1/2. And then the final side, if you flip the paper over, you're going to score it at 3/4 inch. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same on the other sheet. So 1 1/2 inches, 1 1/2 inches, 1 1/2 inches, and then on the last side 3/4 inch. And that's all the scoring we need to do. So let's pop my scoreboard out of the way. And then just with your bone folder, we are going to burnish it on all of the sides, remembering which side you want to have your paper. And I obviously want the tartan paper, so I'm burnishing it that way so that the tartan paper is up at the top. I always do it with my fingers first because designer series paper, particularly with this where you've got an awful lot of tartan on it, you have to be careful. Now the top part we are going to fold out in the opposite direction because that's going to form our little top piece. Okay, so that's that one. And then we're going to do exactly the same with the other one. So burnish that through. I don't think you can have too many little bags for various different occasions, whether it's Christmas, whether it's the holidays, whether it's for a little birthday present or something. And this bag size is quite a nice roomy one, which means that you can fit a nice little gift, put a bit of tissue in there, and you can get quite a reasonable amount of things in there. So right, so we've now got our 2 pieces. Okay, so on the first piece, they're both exactly the same. The first piece, we are going to cut off the 2 outsides. So you've got your, whoops, I've just dropped one of my handles on the floor. So the little pieces at the top, which is the bit that folds over, on these you are going to cut away this. And I always pick, the tartan paper's lovely, but my goodness, it's difficult to see. I'm actually going to do it on this side because it's actually easier to see. So we're going to cut this square away completely. Like that. And the same on the other side. You won't have these lights, so you'll be able to cut it a little bit easier than I am doing. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, and then on the second one, we are going to cut it from this along the score line sideways. So we need to cut it. I'm going to have to do it the other way because I just can't see it. So we're going to cut it this way along. And again, just up to that score line. And just up to that score line. Okay, so you've got one where you've got the cut lines come that way. So you don't do it this way, you do it sideways. And this one has got the piece that's taken out completely. Now, what we need to do is, I want to reinforce the bottom of this. So the bottom of this bag is a little bit sturdier. So I have taken 2 pieces of cardstock, and they measure 2 7/8 of an inch, so literally just 1 mark under the 3 inches, and 1 3/8 of an inch. So it's just 1/8 of an inch smaller, and we're going to stick that down at the bottom. I've just put 2 pieces of cardstock together. I'm just going to grab my glue because that's over on the other side. I always manage to forget one thing that I need to put in. So I'm using wet glue. I always use wet glue, as you know. So we're just going to take some wet glue on here. And this will just reinforce the bottom a little bit. Just makes it a little bit more sturdy for putting things in. And the fact that it's 1/8 of an inch smaller means that it's going to fit quite nicely just in on the bottom there, like that. Okay, you can take the bottom of any of the packaging or things like that, and that will work quite nicely. Okay, so then we are going to adhere this piece over onto the top like that, and then our pieces are going to come up and wrap round that way. So let me just show you. I'm doing it with the lid on the top, but once it comes round, that piece is going to wrap round that way with those pieces inside, and then the other piece is going to wrap round the other side to form our box in on that fold line like that. Okay, so we need to first of all glue this piece onto here. So let's take our wet glue. You can use tear and tape if you want. You want to use something fairly strong because you're going to be putting things in the box. So I, as I say, always use my wet glue. So we're going to put this piece in so it lines up in on the bottom like this. Turn it over and make sure that I've got that lined up as nicely as I can on there. Yes, I have. And then we can just wait for a minute just for the glue to go off. So I tend to do it on both sides, turn it over onto the other side. And we've got that on there. Okay, so we then need to, we'll do one side at a time. So it doesn't really matter which side you want your pieces to go, as long as they're exactly the same on both ones. So we're going to put glue on these two panels here. Remembering to get them into the corners. There we go. And then we're going to take one side and make sure that we can line that up. Up to the edge there. And just sort of square it up. So that's nice and square, and then we'll go across and do the other side. So again, just fold your piece over, square it up before you commit yourself, and then just glue those pieces in. So we've got that side of our box. Then we can take the other piece and we are going to glue that in. Now what I like to do is I like to just tuck this piece in underneath as I go. So we're going to glue this is going to be the inside that we're going to glue on this side. So stripe is really difficult to see where that seam comes, but you need to take it right up on there. I'm going to have to bend it a bit because you can see, even though I've done it, because it runs right the way on this crease. I need to just be quite careful on that. Okay, I'm going to glue the other one while I'm at it. So let's find that little seam piece on there. Put some glue on there. Okay, so this piece is going to go flat on there, but I like to tuck this little piece in underneath so it just fits nicely together, and then we're just going to put it across so that this edge lines up nicely with that edge on the box. Ease it into place and then just smooth it down, but you've got that which tucks quite nicely in underneath. And then we're going to take the other side, do exactly the same thing, tuck it in underneath on here first, like that, push it across to its edge, and then just make sure that we've got these pieces lined up. In on that side, and it's up nice and tightly. So you then have, as I say, these two little tiny pieces will stick out, but if you just put a little tiny bit of glue in, it just makes it look a little bit neater. And then on the other side as well, like that. And then you've got your top is nicely done, tucked in and reinforced in there. So you then have your lovely looking bag. Now, if you pinch the sides just a little bit like that, you can just sort of square off your box if you want to, or you can have it completely straight. So I think I'm going to have this one straight, but you can pinch it in if you want to. And then we're going to work on the handles. Now, I've already done two because they will take a little while to dry, but you need a strip, and I've toned this in with Night of Navy, and you need a strip which is 5.5 inches long. And then it's going to be a 1/4 of an inch. So this is going to be a 1/4 of an inch when it's folded. So what I tend to do is to make it just a bit bigger than the 1/4 of an inch. So 1/2 an inch, 1/2 an inch, just a little bit over 1/2 an inch. So let me go on here. I'm not very good with these measurements. So 1/2 an inch is here. If you take it up to just under 3/4 of an inch, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. Doesn't really matter. And you just score it down one side and then on the other, because what you want to do is you want the centerpiece. So when you folded it, you want it to come just so that your seam comes in the middle. Now you can just fold it with your fingers to get it across, but you want, as I say, your seam to come in on the center. And then when you've got it where you want it, you can just use your bone folder to take it down, and then you just put some glue on the inside of this. So I'm just going to put glue on one piece first. It's quite a little piece to hold on to, but let's pop some glue on here. And you need a reasonable amount of glue, because that again gives it a little bit of extra sort of strength and stability. So I do one side first and then just press that in, and hold it sort of down, and then do the other piece on the other side. If you want the wider, just cut a little wider strip. About 5.5 inches is the right length, unless you want great huge handles, but that gives you handles appropriate to the size of the bag. And then, as I say, you're just going to put this through. So as I say, your seam comes in on the center. And then what I tend to do is just take my bone folder and just run it across until that glue has gone off. Again, if you wanted to use very fine tear and tape, or very narrow tear and tape, you could do. But you then have your nice handle, and once it has dried off a bit, what you're going to do is, with your bone folder, just gently curve it, because you want it to be just curved, which makes it easier to go on. So I have prepared two already, and once they're curved and dry, you're going to bend them just slightly that way, and they're going to be glued on this piece and this piece, so these outside pieces, so you have that nice little curve of the handle. So you need to put quite a large amount of glue on here for it to hold. So put a piece of glue on, or a little blob of glue on each side, and then literally take your box or your little bag and put them in where you want inside, and then you just have to hold them. That's why I said I sort of do them in advance, but you just hold them until they start to go off, and it will take a few minutes, 30 seconds or so for that glue to go off, because obviously you've got the curve on the top, but it will go off, and you just literally have to hold it until it goes off. Because you've got that curve, it's wanting to pull it away a bit, but once you've got it in, you'll find that it'll start to hold quite well, and you just sort of press it and press it. So I'm not going to do the other one because you can see exactly how you put it together, but I really like the idea of this handle. I like the curve of it, and I like the fact that it then, so that one's gone off, you can see like that, and then I do leave it for a little while. So I'm going to take the first one back again so you can see once they've actually glued, they are exceptionally strong and they give a really good handle, which I like. So those are our 2 boxes. Fill them with whatever you want. As you can see, let's open this one that I put the little cards in. These little cards were, what were they, 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, so they just literally fitted in, and I just thought that they would make lovely little tags or little Christmas things and would fit in there. But you can fit all sorts in there. As you can see, it's a good size, roomy size bag, and another fun little thing to make for the Christmas period. So thank you so much. I need to hold this one down again. Thank you so much for watching me, and do look forward to seeing you again for the next one in the series. Bye bye.